lest anybody think I'm being disrespectful, the mayor insisted I call him Jim, so I'm going to call him Jim.
Your honor doesn't work. It doesn't work. My mother calls me Jim, so thank you.
So you took on a mountain of a challenge.
We took it on.
Soda tax.
Was us.
Let's begin at the beginning. When did this first come onto your radar screen as an issue? What got you interested in it?
We talked during the campaign about some of the signature policies we wanted to pursue. Because of the 26% poverty rate that Philadelphia experiences, we determined that pre-K was obviously what New York did, massive numbers of pre-K. We don't have that kind of revenue, but we wanted to start out with 6,000 to 8,000 kids in 4 years with access to quality pre-K that didn't have it. In pre-K deserts where either there was good quality pre-K and no ability to expand seats because there was less state reimbursement and state aid. Community schools, which we've seen in other cities around the country that have the ability to deliver services, medical services, social services, nutritional services to kids in the school base, so mom or dad don't have to take off to take their kid to the dentist and do the things that they need to do and lose their job or not be able to promote themselves well. And then a massive influx of work on parks, recreation centers, and libraries throughout the city that have, some of them are 80, 90 years old, haven't seen major renovations since they opened, plaster falling from the ceiling, messed up play equipment, gym floors that go like this. So we figured that because our neighborhoods are suffering as much as they are in some areas, that some form of equity, some form of hope in a nice facility to go after school, to go to your pre-K, go to elementary school, go after school to a rec center or library and get after school help, to have great places to play and to recreate, not dirt, dusty fields where, in the fall, the dirt blows so hard that you need kerchief to keep the dirt out of your lungs. It was just that kind of stuff. And then after I won, we sat down and said, well, how are we going to pay for this? And my, like, duh. And my finance director said, beverage tax. I went, oh man, we're not going to be able to get that. We got to think something else. He said, no, we can do it. He said, I'm telling you, we can do it. We started out with a 3 cent an ounce tax on sugar sweetened beverages. Wound up in the end to be a 1.5 cent per ounce on sugar sweetened and a 1.5 cent per ounce on diet. We introduced the bill and a part of the budget address, I think in February. And out came big soda, man, and they're big. I mean, big, it's like big tobacco.
How big?
Big tobacco, big pharma, big soda, man. That was like, oof. They really only had the Teamsters, obviously, because they haul it. We were able to get a coalition of people together, which is really uncommon. They hired every lobbyist in America, and some from the moon, some from other. I have friends of mine who had retired I was in city council for 24 years, and I had friends of mine who left council and became lobbyists, and they would call me up with a whispered voice and say, they want to hire me. Is it okay? I said, yeah, go take their money. I don't care. I mean, they got enough money to spend, might as well take it. Might get on the gravy train. They spent $10 million in advertising and other things. And just in the city, they've spent $67 million nationwide to fight this. They realized that Berkeley, although it happened in Berkeley, that wasn't like a threat to them because it wasn't a major city. And Berkeley's a great city, but it wasn't Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Boston. And this was like they were going to fight this. I saw myself on television and more negative ads during this campaign than I did during the mayoral campaign. Wow. I get up in the morning, I'm getting dressed, and I say, Jim Kenney. I said, I just got sworn in. They're still doing this. What we found in the end is that with all the lobbyists, with all the television, pre-K mothers, you don't want to fight with. And pre-K dads second, but pre-K moms, strollers, babies, and finger in your face, park recreation center advocates, library advocates, and construction trades, which we didn't have before, because they're going to build this stuff. Construction trades and people who want to diversify the construction trades would have traditionally been, white guys like me, white Irish Catholic guys. And we have an opportunity now with the $300 million we're going to borrow, the $150 to $200 million we're going to leverage state and philanthropy, to have a $500 million construction project in rec centers and libraries and parks all across the city. That's work for the construction trades. It's work for people who are now unemployed, who can get a card to go into the electricians, sprinkler fitters, laborers, carpenters and have a different life, change the poverty level in the city. And they had the Teamsters, and actually, and then the service unions, SEIU and AFSCME and those, I mean, they're concerned about health. We were supporting them on their $15 an hour wage stuff, fighting with contractors at the airport to pay people more than $8 to clean planes. So we had like a juggernaut of real people, and we beat them. I mean, and they were not happy, and they're suing us now. And, you know, I'm allowed to say certain things. I'm not allowed to say certain things. It is now the Philadelphia beverage tax, which is what we talk, in lawyer speak, it's what we talk about. One of the, and I can talk about this because it's in the pleading. One of the more obnoxious elements of the complaint is that the lawyers for the other side have claimed that we have a SNAP program in Pennsylvania, Supplemental Nutrition Access Program. They argue that the SNAP card holders will be treated badly because they can't buy more soda, because it's going to be more expensive for them. Right. And how soda became nutritional, I don't understand why it's even allowed to be bought on a SNAP card. But the point is, well, it is in Pennsylvania. It's allowed to be allowed in Pennsylvania. It's part of the legal brief. So that's really kind of an obnoxious disconnect with people's lives that really shouldn't drink that much soda. And then the other argument was, you know, poor people are going to pay this tax. Well, poor people pay for the soda now. I mean, what you're saying to me is that your profits, your billions of profits, are more important than giving a little bit of this back or eating a little bit so these kids can get a better life. I mean, to me, like you're going to continue to take advantage of that cohort of retail opportunities and not give them pre-K and try to take away community schools and take away their nice park.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's really ridiculous.
And give us...
and it's not a sales tax, because their argument is a sales tax.
Right.
The tax is imposed upon the distributor and the manufacturer. Before it leaves the plant to get to the store, the tax is already paid. You can choose to pass that through or not, or the large supermarket owner can choose to take whatever's passed on and even divide it further in other products, a cent, half a cent here or there, and still sell it for what you're selling it for. Right. And in large supermarkets, what they use soda as a loss leader, which is a way to pull people in. I mean, if you want to do loss leaders, do it in the fruit and vegetable section. If you want to give that away, give that away, right. And get them in that way. So it's going to be interesting, but I think they went for a TRO and they didn't get it, or I don't think they're going to get it. And we'll be able to start collecting the tax in January. We'll have 2,000 pre-K slots open in January. We'll start the effort on the borrowings for the Parks Recreation Center library renovations. We have 9 community schools open. We're looking for 25 in 4 years, and we're rolling. And what I'm hoping is that the court decides, you know, but this is like, we're not going to reverse all this.
Right. And give us more of a sense of the attack ads from Big Soda. I mean, those Jim Kenney.
The Philadelphia grocery tax.
I mean, what were their lines of attack? Give us
Philadelphia
a sense
grocery tax, loss of jobs, massive loss. Every bottling company in the region was going to shut down, despite the fact that they moved all of their headquarters to foreign countries anyway. I mean, in order to beat federal taxes and state taxes. So a lot of their plants, I think, are in Ireland and in other places. Not plants, but their headquarters. So I mean, they're pretty good at their math and their tax math, like a certain Republican candidate for president.
Right. And were they singling you out, or were they focusing more on the tax?
They were singling me out a little bit. It was kind of comical. I'm Irish Catholic, obviously, and I was my first St. Patrick's Day parade, right? I'm like, yeah, this is like, I'm in the big time now. Like all my relatives are all thrilled. He's leading the St. Patrick's Day parade, and I turned the corner, 16th and 16th on the Parkway. I don't know if you're familiar with the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, and there were like 1,000 Teamsters flipping me the bird, screaming at me. Nuns were holding their ears, and it was ugly. And the Grand Marshal of the parade, Paul Doris, lovely old man, not old man, but lovely man, was a former Teamster. And he was like, so he didn't understand what was going on. He said, Mayor, come here. What are they doing? I said, they're booing me over the soda tax. He said, oh, F them. He said, do it for the wee ones. I said, so we went down the street waving at them. Yeah, so, but that was, that was universally panned, right. Their activities in doing that. And then people were, parish pastors were sending letters to the Teamsters saying, you know, you're going to be ashamed of yourself. Right. Our kids heard all that and stuff. So, yeah, so there was some level of personal attack. It didn't really matter. I mean, when we had these hearings, and we had multiple public hearings in City Council, and the other thing you have to do is you have to tie the tax to specific policies that people want. And then you have to go, we have 17 members of council. You need 9 votes. pass anything. You need 12 votes to override, 9 votes to pass. So you got to make sure that every single council member that you can get is invested in those programs. So council member X, you got 6 playgrounds, 6 rec centers in your district that are going to get this. And you're going to get this councilwoman, council member, Jones, you're going to get this many seats in your district on pre-K, and you're going to have 2 community schools. I mean, you do have to horse trade to a degree. We wound up with 13 to 4, and I was overwhelmed. I mean, I thought we were going to be like 9-8 and squeaking it out, but 13 to 4, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And did you have explicit discussions with the public about we've got an obesity problem in this country,
No.
we've got to solve it?
I didn't go to Health Route. And Michael Nutter, my predecessor, went to Health Route twice. And they were very legitimate arguments. There was no doubt about it. I mean, you drink less sugar-sweetened beverages and you're going to get thinner and you're not going to get diabetes. Dr. Farley is our health commissioner. Right. He was a health commissioner in New York, and he's a terrific guy. He said it's like the only disease you actually put into your body. Like some things you're born with genetically, smoking and diabetes, if not childhood diabetes, but adult diabetes, right, is about your life of drinking sugar beverages. Right. But I knew that the ancillary health benefits, because of the rec center and parks renovations, because of the better social and health services in the community schools, I knew because of the pre-K start that kids have, their lives are going to be better because they're going to be better students by 3rd grade, graduate from grade school, go on to high school or college or CET programs. So I knew that start would make everybody healthier. But I find, and I don't feel this myself, but when when the government tells you can't do something that you've done your whole life, even if it's bad for you, you seem to reject it. It's like, don't tell me what I can smoke. Don't tell me what I can eat and drink. I can make up my mind. And I think that's one of the ways that they attacked the idea was they had like kind of these set up actors going through the supermarket and saying, he's not going to tell me what I can buy for my kids and stuff. But it didn't work. I mean, we had wonderful ads. I mean, Mayor Bloomberg the Bloomberg Foundation was really, really helpful. We could not match them at $10 million. We were like maybe 1.6, 1.8 by the time we solicited folks to contribute, different foundations, and the Bloomberg Foundation was very, very helpful. But we had this one beautiful ad. Was Reverend Hall, who was like an icon of the civil rights movement. He was down south for a long time, and then he's been up in Philadelphia for about 30 years. And he looked into the camera and he said, this is right for our children. He said, and they need to give a little back. And it was like I sat and I started to fill up on the commercial. I was like, I think we got him now. I think we got him on the run. You can't diss Reverend Hall.
Right.
But we had regular people with us, and that was the good part.
Right. Do you drink soda?
I stopped a little while ago. I was a Diet Pepsi freak, and I realized that it's not good for you. I try to drink more healthful things. I mean, I'm 58. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. We really didn't know a lot about nutrition and stuff.
Right.
But I don't really do it now. No.
Right.
But I can't tell everybody. See, it's odd. It's almost a conundrum. Like you pass a beverage tax, and you can't tell people to stop. We baked in a 60%. Well, say it's like and that was one of their arguments. Well, everybody's going to stop, and you're not going to have the tax. We baked in a 60%. I think it was 60%. I get corrected sometimes by my comms people. Let's say 50. We baked in a 50% fall off in sales, and we still raised the $92 million we needed a year to bond and to pay for community pre-K and community schools.
And I'm sure your phone has been ringing from other communities around the country saying, Jim, what's your playbook?
Well,
what's your do's and don'ts?
One of our fears, because we have a very Republican state and Republican legislature, both House and Senate, and I worked in the legislature and the Senate for a while before I became a council member, so I knew a lot of staff people and a lot of leadership there, and they're friends of mine. I mean, I don't agree with them on just about everything, but they're still friends. See, the whole key to this is, if they would just fund education, we wouldn't have to do any of this. But you're not funding education, so you expect us just to close up the schools and turn it all over to the private sector and walk away? I mean, we're not going to do that. So what you wind up with is beverage taxes, gaming, because Grover Norquist told you can't raise taxes. If the moon hits the earth, you can't raise taxes to fix it. I mean, so never raising taxes ever is a terrible outcome. You wind up with gaming. So we have gaming in Pennsylvania because no one would raise the personal income tax 1% to pay for infrastructure in schools. So now we have a tax on the old and the poor. Because that's, I mean, look, the casino people, I love them. They're very good. I mean, they contribute to neighborhood activities and stuff, but you go through the casino, it's old people and poor people trying to strike it rich. It's not James Bond at the baccarat table. It's guys,
not?
No, it's
not?
It's the guys in wheelchairs and oxygen tanks. And I mean, and you know, and I'm saying, and that's their right to do it. And if they were, and all those folks were getting on buses and going to Atlantic City anyway. So, I mean, from former Governor Rendell's position was, they're going to spend it here or spend it there, so you might as well spend it here. But you wind up with gaming because no one's willing to raise a tax because they're afraid they're going to lose their next election.
Right.
I mean, and really 1%, I think we're 47th from the bottom in PIT, and we're last in job creation in Pennsylvania. So obviously trickle down ain't working. And an increase of 1% in the PIT would not put us at the top of the PIT list, but would give us enough money for infrastructure, bridges, roads, and schools. I mean, our problem in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia is that the charter school movement, which I am not opposed to. I mean, I'm not an anti-charter school person. I like good charter schools. And President Clinton, I had a chance to talk to him real short period of time after I got elected. And he said to me, the charter schools were supposed to be incubators for the public schools. They were supposed to be laboratories for what was good in public education or how to make public education better. Now it's become a direct competitor. And Governor Corbett, who only did one term in Pennsylvania, took away charter school reimbursement. So now it's even worse because now every time a child leaves the public school to go to a public charter school, the money follows the child and it's not reimbursed from the state. So you have these battles going on between charter school operators who are calling parents at a public school, a good public school, saying, if you don't bring your kid in 5th grade, you're not going to be guaranteed a seat in high school. I mean, this kind of hard sell, you know, telephone marketing, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Just fund the schools. It's your constitutional responsibility to fund them. It says it in the Constitution. Why are you abdicating it? And I think a lot of it is based in race, and I'm sorry that that's the case. But I can only think of that they don't want to fund schools in Philadelphia because the majority of the kids who go to Philadelphia schools, public schools, are African American or Latino.
Right. And
I will tell you, I have been to every neighborhood in our city, to almost every school in our city. Our kids are good. They're smart. You get a pre-K kid who's 4 years old, and I don't care what neighborhood they come from or how hard that neighborhood is. They are perfect vessels of just love, and they don't see race, and they want to hug you, and they want to learn, and they want to talk to you. And then by 3rd grade, if they're not reading at grade level, by 7th and 8th, they're embarrassed because they can't read, and they're acting up in the classroom. And by 9th and 10th, they're gone. And then they're on the corner hustling, and they wind up in the cemetery or jail, and we're going to pay for them there. $38,000 a year in Philadelphia County to house an inmate. That's a wonderful tuition payment at a university.
Right.
And I'd rather be spending the money there than spending the money in prison.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah. It's hard because you have this violence on the street and you have the gunplay, and I can't control guns because the state, it's, you know, Pennsylvania, and everybody's got to have a gun, and I'm like, all right, but not here. I mean, you know, the biggest holiday in Pennsylvania is the opening day of deer season, and that's a cultural thing, and I'm not denigrating it. It's what it is. But in Philadelphia, it's not.
Right.
It's handguns. It's young people and police officers getting shot with high-powered weaponry that we can't even come up against because I'm sure the founders of the country intended for every American to have an AK-47. I mean, if they want to have unlimited blunderbuss and, you know, muzzle loading, you know, I'm for that. Right. It'll take you a half a day to load the gun. Right. But if you can shoot 15 bullets in one trigger finger, I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
I mean, we've had 4 officers. We've had, I mean, scores of young people. I mean, poor 8-year-old kids, crossfire. We've had 4 police officers since January. I mean, shot up bad. Right. Our last Sergeant Young was sitting in the car, took 18 slugs in her car, right, and 8 hit her, 3 in her vest, 2 obliterated her gun, and 3 got 3 in the arm. And thank God when I went to the hospital, she was awake sitting on bed talking.
Yeah. I'm going to grab the steering wheel and
Yep.
steer it back to food. This is me steering it back to conversation.
Somebody should steer it back. Thank you.
Quick question, then we'll go to the audience. So I'm going to put you in charge, give you a federal cabinet post.
Oh, I don't want that.
No, but you look around this country, a lot of unhealthy people. You've been thinking about food policy. You've got a magic wand. What would you do?
I would change all of the food that's sold in schools. I look at some of that stuff, man, and it is. I went into a high school. It was lunchtime. I was sitting in the cafeteria. Young kid says to me, "Man, would you eat that?" I said, "Nope." He said, and what winds up happening is these kids now sneak out. to the McDonald's or someone, because they're not going to eat that stuff. Right. And there's so much opportunity. I mean, where we're situated, South Jersey is a Garden of Eden. I mean, the Amish country is within 25 miles of the city. The Reading Terminal Market is one of the most premier food destinations in the world. We have tons and tons of vacant property and vacant lots and schoolyards that are all concrete that could be made into growing areas and farming areas. And it's good for stormwater management. It's good for kids to be able to do agriculture, to understand where food comes from and to eat good food. The other thing is, I think every school should have a cookable kitchen, not a microwave kitchen, because that's what it comes down to. And I tell you, the other thing I've tried to talk about, but it's weird, like you have an idea and then the lawyers get it. Well, let's do that. Nope, can't do that. Why can't we do that? Because of indemnity. We have to indemnify them, to indemnify. I mean, I said the city is self-insured and the school district is self-insured. They're going to sue us all anyway. Right. Like, why do you want to stop something that's good because you have to do a contract or an agreement that is so difficult to follow you can't do it? We have one of the most, and we're not the biggest, but we have one of the burgeoning food truck operations and businesses in the East Coast. They're really good folks who are employing people, who are selling quality items, who are selling food that's grown in the area and selling nutritional stuff. Not every single one, but there's enough. We should be pulling food trucks up to schools every day and switching up the food trucks with nutritional items that the kids come out and buy. I think things like that, but no, you can't get the private company on the schoolyard because you're going to have to get this insurance and that. I mean, and then you wind up doing nothing.
Yeah. Questions from the audience for the mayor. Over here.
Hi, I'm still confused that without tying the soda tax to health specifically, what was the rationale for going after it? Why not go after coffee or broccoli or anything else people do?
Because that's where the money was. I mean, they have a major, it's a major profit-making operation. I mean, and they're doing it, they're selling stuff that's probably bad for you, right? All right, so, I mean, we go after cigarettes. I mean, state, again, because they don't want to raise personal income tax, they'll tax cigarettes. I mean, I remember when my grandmother smoked a lot. And like I could buy her a carton of cigarettes for Christmas for $5. $5. They're $100 now. So the increases in cigarette taxes have really not, I mean, there's a lot less people smoking, but there's still enough people smoking. We went after that because it was the quickest and most effective way to raise the money that we needed. We had raised real estate taxes, 5 times in 6 years. Our wage tax is too high, and we keep on trying to drag it down. We're at like 3.9, and we're trying. That's a lot. And we were almost 5. When I first came to city council, we were almost at 5%. So I can't raise that. I can't raise business taxes. I can't raise use and occupancy taxes. I mean, I just can't. It was it. It was what we had, and I think it was fair, and I think that they can afford it, and they certainly can afford fighting it. So I think they can afford either eating some of it or passing some of it on.
That's great. All right, and there's a hand over here. Yep.
Hi, I just want to thank you because you're helping the kid that I was in the 70s. I grew up in Holmesburg and lived in a row home, went to St. Hubert's, and soda was our life. That was all we could afford. That was the treat, you know, once a week, watching the Brady Bunch. But I now grow poultry, raise poultry, and I grow collard greens, and you can change that lifestyle, and you are really contributing to that, and I want to thank you.
Let me tell you, the Irish, they used to tease us. The Italian kids used to tease us. The Irish kids, their Irish kids' lunch was orange soda and potato chips. And they were bringing meatball sandwiches to school and stuff, their grandmother made, and we were orange soda and potato chips.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Or what's worse? The Huggies, the little hugs. I mean, that's like drinking just sugar. I mean, it's crazy stuff. But thank you. You grew up in the 70s? Oh, wow.
That's great.
You look good. I'm sorry. I mean, that's,
And on that note.
I apologize. I don't mean to be. It was complimentary.
No, it was taken in the spirit intended.
Thank you.
We could talk all day, but we can't, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.